All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? I hear none. Okay. Mr. Pena, would you read the disclaimer, please?
Yes, not a problem. Just gotta pull it up. Okay. Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Code of Ordinance states, historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo and shall have, otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic Districts Act, MCLA 399201, 1970 PA 169, as amended 1992. B, to regulate work on resources which, by city ordinance, are historic or non-historic resources located within local historic districts, including but not limited to the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding the responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district. Sorry, excuse me, lost my place there. MCLA 399201, 1970 PA 169 is amended in 1992. That's the Michigan Local Historic District Act. Code of Ordinances of the City of Kalamazoo, particularly Chapter 16, which deals with historic districts. The Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, 1990. Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts, and a map of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the City of Kalamazoo website at www.kalamazoocity.org/historic preservation.
Thank you. Mr. Pena, do we have any changes to the formal agenda?
We do not.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as proposed?
Motion to adopt the agenda for for March 18th.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the Historic District Commission meeting on February 18th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the Historic District Commission on February 18th.
Thank you, James.
Seconded.
Thank you, Christy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. The minutes are approved. Okay, do we have any visitors who would like to speak on matters that are not on the agenda today? Okay, I see none. All right, we'll proceed to the application reviews. The first application we're going to review is the 1009 Oak Street. Do we have people to speak on that?
This one's a call-in, so I'm just gonna
okay.
get it set up real quick, and bear with me, everybody. Okay, of course I'm having issues already. Sorry for the ringing. I have to allow permission, but I might just go over to the other computer. I think. I know that's not the best sound, sorry. And to the caller, sorry. I'm just trying to figure it out on this computer, but we will be there with you in a second. How awkward, I know, but I'm going to move to the other computer.
Mr. Pena, can you explain to the caller the impact of just having 4 of us up here? I will, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Assuming that the caller is watching, if you wouldn't mind trying to call in again, we'll be able to take you this time. Okay, thank you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. 1 second while I get back to the other station. Okay, sorry about that snafu. I just wanted to let you know and let everyone else know that tonight we only have 4 members, which is the baseline for quorum at the Historic District Commission. That means that a unanimous vote is needed to get approval for a hearing. That being said, if you would like to opt out and postpone the meeting to a later time when there may be more commissioners, that is completely your prerogative if you wish to do so. If not, we can proceed this evening with your hearing. That goes for everyone. And if people need to talk through that as they come up, I can certainly walk them through that.
Yeah, let's proceed with 4.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good. If you could give us your name real quick, and then kind of walk through what the project is. I will also have it up on the screen.
Yeah, my name is Michael Braun. I'm the owner of 1009 Oak Street. We bought the property in 2017, and since then we have had major issues with water intrusion on that wall in the report. We kept patching it up, doing fixes over a 7-year period. Then about a year ago, Kevin Cagney with Cagney Construction, he advised us to remove one window and put in a vinyl window on the north side. The vinyl window that he put in, because the original window was a non-standard size, he said he wasn't able to get a vinyl window in that. But ever since then, we were able to provide a safe living space for the family that lives there without any water intrusion and any danger that there could be mold. So it has been dry ever since.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else that you want to share with us as we move forward? Or if not, I can hand it over to the commission for their questions and comments and then deliberation.
No, nothing else to add right now.
So I'd just like to remind the caller that we are bound by the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation when considering requests that affect historic property within historic districts. And in particular, the standards that we are guided by are: 1, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved, and the removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. And number 6, deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of the deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. I open it up for discussion among the commissioners.
I'll start. I stopped by the property at lunchtime today to take a look, just so I was fully understanding where the windows are that we're discussing. So the first one that was completely removed is directly on the front face of the property. It's incredibly visible from the street. So I have major concern with that violating our standards of removing a character-defining feature. I think you're losing the symmetry of the window placement. And then I didn't understand from the application, but when seeing it in person, the vinyl window that is shorter is actually just adjacent to the window that was removed. So I was hoping maybe it was in the rear of the home, but it's also partially visible from the street. And I think having the shorter window, I mean, in addition to removing the original window, having a shorter window, it just disrupts the visual alignment of all the windows. So I think that is problematic as far as the character defining features go. I think I also take issue with the vinyl material. I understand it's probably not an easy to find window size, but we have local businesses here that I'm sure could build you a custom sized wood window. So I guess that's where I'm currently sitting.
Can I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as you saw probably in the report from 2017 by a inspector in the city, there has been water before for many years in the property, so we really had to preserve the structure and make sure that the whole wall doesn't cave in, while also making sure that the tenant, which has kids that is in there, doesn't have mold issues. So we really had to find a way to remove anything that could cause mold, which would be the water. So over the years beforehand, while the previous owner might have preserved the looks of the historic building, he completely neglected the water intrusion, which would have made the property a tear down and would have caused it to be condemned within a matter of a few years. So we really had to find a solution to stop the water intrusion, and after many fixes beforehand to comply with the repairs, we were not able to do that. So that's why we had to remove the window. And that's why I chose a firm that is licensed and bonded, Cagney Construction, and he advised me to the best of his ability. And when it comes to painting, like I wrote in the report, as soon as I have approval, I will paint it and make it a uniform color again.
Mr. Braun, I'm looking at the inspection report right now. Maybe I'm missing it, but can you tell me where it says the inspector 7 years ago alerted you to mold in the kitchen?
He alerted to bubbling on the paint. You can see a inside picture of the window in the inspection report, and he said bubbling paint and window. Pretty much all windows are rotted beyond repair, and this one in particular.
I'm
not
looking.
seeing that on the kitchen one.
It's the part. I believe page 3 in the report.
Number 30, maybe.
Oh, so not in the...
Are you talking about item number 30, windows, wood double hung, the dining, at that time it was a dining room? This is
The
dining,
dining room, that's it, yeah.
which is allowing
That's the
water.
dining room.
And specifically, the inspector said the center dining room window will need replacement.
Yeah,
You chose to take it out and
Replace it.
not replace it.
well, the center one is...
We replaced it with a vinyl.
That's the vinyl one, that's...
Oh, that's the vinyl one.
Yeah, so I know this is a retroactive one. As Ms. Underwood was talking about before, we have Secretary of Interior standards as well as local standards, and we're expected to consider even a retroactive review as if it was being presented to us having not been done yet. And I'm having a hard time, even with an inspector report saying things are moldy and rotten, I'm having a hard time understanding why it couldn't be replaced with a wood window that can replicate the historic quality of things and not remove a historic feature that adds a lot of symmetry and character to the front of the house.
And to add on to that,
That's how,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's how Cagney Construction advised me. I'd like to point out that, complying with the city and maybe further complying with the city might put the tenant with the family and with kids at risk. Because, I mean, as you guys know, in the city, there are a lot of issues, let alone with lead. And as a father of soon 4, I'm really concerned about that. And as soon as there is any chance for mold, I'd like to have it addressed so that people don't have to live like that. And I totally understand the historic features. Everything has to be preserved as much as possible. And I don't agree with it not being, as soon as it's being painted, pending approval, with it having a feature removed. Or, I mean, it's still the same style of house. We didn't tear down the whole wall. We didn't alter it. We just removed a window to keep it safe for the family that lives there. And based on this report and the bubbling paint, bubbling paint, there's definitely a chance for the tenants to be in danger if it starts leaking again, because it might leak for, I mean, I don't even know how long the previous tenant held the property, but it might leak again for 2-3 years while mold spores are already being inhaled by the tenants. And then it's going to be found out that we have to remove it anyways.
Well, again, then why not replace it with a wood window instead of a vinyl window? I think, I don't know Cagney Construction personally, but I would expect that they have done work in historic districts before and know that these standards exist, and also that you bought a home in the historic district and know that these standards exist.
Totally. Are the standards more important, though, than the health of the family?
I don't think it needs to be an either or. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You can protect people with the historic features. We approve like 90% of the things brought to us because people are going out of their way to use the historic materials and preserve that character.
I also don't find that the lead paint argument is really a strong one at this point, because the work has already been done to remove 2 windows. So I think
that was just overall.
But
I guess there's a lot of issues with lead paint.
I feel like my point is, if you were to come back with an application asking to replace the windows with something wood and matching the same size, I think we might be more inclined to support this. But I also just want to say, though, there's only so much blaming of the previous owner you can do, because once you purchase the home, you become immediately responsible for the status of the home, maintaining the status of the home. I understand that they probably did not do the best things to hand it off really nicely. But I've had a home like that, I think many other commissioners as well, and you become responsible for correcting it and following the ordinances.
Well, look, I mean, I totally understand, and I see where this is going, and I'm glad that this is recorded. If I have mold issues, I can bring up the recording and I can blame the city.
I don't think that's a fair threat to make, first of all. And we're not.
It's not a threat.
We're not.
The conclusion based on what I said, we weren't able to fix it.
We are not workers of the city. We're a voluntary board of commissioners trying to preserve the historic character of the city, to add value to the city and to the residents who own these homes. It feels very much like you are trying to say that if we enforce the standards that we have before us, that we are trying to harm the tenants and their children, which is not at all a fair thing to say.
Nor is it supported by any, excuse me, I'm speaking. Nor is it supported by any evidence that you have produced. No, there are no reports about lead, concerns about lead. There are no reports about concerns about mold. There is, you just simply haven't included that in your application.
Mr. Braun, I see that your residence is in California. Can I ask you, when was the last time that you visited the house and looked at the damage yourself, aside from seeing Mr. Cagney's report?
Sorry, Michael, someone else is calling it at the same time, so I'm going to try to investigate. Are you still there with us, Michael?
Maybe he got disconnected.
Yeah, I could have. Hello, is this Michael again? Terribly confused now. I know, I'm not sure what's going on. Michael, if you could try to call in one more time, I'm sorry that we're having technical difficulties. When you have a chance, if you want to try it again. Are you there?
One more time. I'm sorry that we're having technical difficulties. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what happened.
No problem.
Yeah, so I just wanted to address, because I haven't, the last thing I heard was that I didn't present any evidence of mold. I mean, there's evidence of water in the wall with bubbling in 2017. The house was a rental property before, so I'm not sure why it was flagged it wasn't flagged to be fixed back then. I mean, that's I guess up for a different conversation. But I also noticed the comment based on my location, California. I've heard that a lot, and I actually talked to a few attorneys recently about that, because I really feel like there is maybe a level of discrimination going on because I'm an out-of-state investor. I mean, every property that I've ever had, I really try to keep in the best condition possible, try to comply with everything the city needs.
Great. I was just curious when the last time you had visited the house was.
About 2 years ago.
Okay.
Mr. Braun, this is Katie Bortman. Thank you for being on the call tonight. I just have a quick question. So you purchased the home in 2017, correct, and had an inspection done then?
Correct.
And so you knew of the deterioration of the windows at that time, 7, almost 8 years ago?
Yes, correct.
So you knew that you would have to do something to keep the windows in a state that would be good for the tenants. Did you plan on replacing them in the future? What were you making plans to make the repairs that were necessary to keep them in a state to protect the tenants?
So we did multiple repairs. We started initially with the windowsill. I even have receipts for that. I was back then advised that the underlying structure is all made out of nice redwood, and we should do our best to preserve that. By the person, it was Mark Davison that did the repairs. We did the drywall on the inside, repainted it, hoped that the issues were fixed. We partially replaced the framing of one of the windows, hoping that it was fixed. Over the past 7 years since we've held it, we did numerous repairs, but it kept being flagged again during the city inspections for moisture, and also the tenants reported issues, and that's when we asked Kevin Cagney Construction to take a look at it, and that's how we ended up here. I didn't know about that. We even needed approval beforehand. He didn't advise me on that. Otherwise, obviously, I wouldn't have taken, or I wouldn't have. I'm too busy. I wouldn't have gone through all this headache now. So I apologize that we have to go retrospectively here. But that's where we are.
Okay, so you were unaware of the Secretary of State standards for a home in a historic district, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, from my understanding from your application, the timeline is that the tenant called you and complained or told you about the water and the windows and how they were so deteriorated. And so was this an emergency situation where you needed to get this fixed as quickly as possible?
Yes, it was. Based on the water that was coming in, I mean, it would have caused major structural issues.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Louise, real quick. We need to make the motion for the approval and then we vote. We can't make the motion like it always has to be. Is that correct from the training?
Yeah, so motions always in the positive. If you presented a vote in the negative and it got denied, that kind of leaves it in limbo. So they always need to be presented in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you. Dana, are you ready? Are we all done with questions? Okay.
Are we done? Are we done? Are we
Yeah.
done discussion? Okay.
Okay. I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with the Secretary of State Interior Standards 2, 9, and 10.
I'll second the motion.
Can I have a roll call, please?
I have, oh, I'm sorry, I had a quick
Oh,
question.
oh, sorry.
Did we include number 6? 2, 6, 9, and 10?
Add number
Yes.
6, then please go for it.
I would like to maybe adjust the motion to include 2, 6, 9, and 10.
You can ask the person who made the motion if the amendment is okay.
Is that all right?
Approved.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion now stands as it did before. The motion's on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Bortman,
No.
Brysick,
No.
Underwood,
No.
and Johnson.
No.
And then Michael, it was denied and we'll be in touch, but I just wanted to do then to look for the proposal for remedy would be what as this was denied.
Yeah, I'll just need you to tell me what I need to fix and
Yep.
how I need to fix it.
Yep.
I can't can I make a motion?
No, so.
Okay, so I guess it's open for discussion. Is that what you're doing?
I think not necessarily. I didn't want to preempt anything when we were talking about this. I think that when we've had cases like this before, reverting the property into the state before it was done is generally just so I can write everything out. As a proposal, we have to present the applicant with a proposal to remedy.
I think, I can only speak for myself, but I think we would all probably want the tenants to be as safe as possible as well. And so reverting it back to the state that it was in, but adding in wood windows to keep the historic character is where I at least fall.
Wood windows that comply with the local standards,
Maintain the original size.
maintaining the original size and style of the windows.
I think, yeah, to clarify, the double hung versus the mutton pattern
Right.
is what we're looking for. And the same placement, same opening size, same wood trim, everything. And perhaps storm windows would also help with the weather problem as an added suggestion.
No, it will be the exact same as it was, just to put it on record.
Okay. And Michael, so I can give you a call tomorrow or by the end of the week so we can discuss this a little bit more. And then I'll be sending out the formal notice again by the end of the week, but we can schedule, if you have time tomorrow or Thursday, time to talk through what the next steps will be for this.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for calling in. Okay.
Is this also a call-in, the second one? Okay.
No, we've just had so many call-in flubs that I've committed today that I want to make sure that everything's on the right path.
Okay. Doing double duty today.
I am. Apologize for the delays to the people in the crowd. If you want to,
Okay, okay, so now we'll hear the second application for 1519 Grand Avenue. Do we have somebody to speak on that? If you could approach the podium, state your name, your relationship to the property and/or application.
What we were looking to do was to add a window to the side of our home. Lived in this house for about a year and a half. And specifically wanted to add a window consistent with the existing windows, with an appearance and size. It helps to clear anything out that will come out in the picture of the side of my house that wasn't in the application packet, and that will make things very clear.
Thank you.
I apologize, my printer isn't the best quality. But hopefully it's a little more as it is. So you can see on that picture that I gave, it's the details where the window, proposed window is meant to go. Within the packet I submitted is the drawing from the contractor for the specific construction of the window. It's intended that it match both size and appearance to an existing window, which I have circled in that document that I gave you guys. Ideally, it will be parallel to that window that you see in the picture to the right of it, and it's the same, will be the same height as those windows you see to the right. It would be built of wood, custom built by the window underground, which is contractor in town for custom wood.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions from commissioners?
I just wanted to say your house is gorgeous, by the way.
let me just take a second to, I don't think that his microphone is working. Can you click the button up there, Dana? Could you try again, Tim? Sorry. There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, you guys can proceed. Sorry.
So just for clarification, thank you for this visual, this helps a lot. What was the intention that like the header of the window would kind of stay in line with these lower ones?
Correct.
Okay. I think that'd be a very nice solution, and it's not often we get asked to add a window. I know it's a very good light, but I appreciate, I think, your attention to detail that it would be the double hole, match the other sizes, have the same wood trim, and appreciate your attention to the lower space. I think for the whole discussion, I think your driveway is so long, your house is set back so far. I personally don't see an issue with adding an extra window since it would allow solar slab and everything else.
Yeah, I have no comments or questions.
No comments? Do you have a motion?
I will move to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with our standards 2, 9, and 10.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christie. Roll call.
Bryson?
Yes.
Yes. And Johnson?
Yes.
So you get the approval, we can talk about this week if you need to, and I'll send out the official approval notice by the end of the week for you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
You need to look into getting building permits for this too, so just, there might be some other permissions that you need to get to install the window, like a building permit, but we can talk about that as we move along with the project, so.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, and our last application for review, 1528 West Michigan. Yes. Do you want to state your name and relationship to the property in the application?
My name is Kalamazoo City Hall. with the owner. The reason why we applied to historic district committee is that we want to change the sign of the business. Right now, we are on the ocean, which is fantastic, but it is not attached with our business name. And I try to repeat, it's going to be a problem. So I want to change it.
Well, just for my clarification, even though this isn't a historic district, this building itself is not considered historic, correct?
Correct. This building is a non-contributing structure in the West Main Hill Local Historic District.
And it's located right next to like FedEx.
It is located right next to a FedEx. I think a great way to look at it, one of the buildings that are in non-historic districts is how is the work that is proposed going to impact surrounding buildings that do contribute to the local historic district.
And which ones would those be? I got it there. Civic Center, Austin.
No, so I could try to dig and pull it up. My guess is that this was put together in 2007. If this building, which was built in 1961, was not included, sometimes when we go back and look at these older documents, they're not. This one was a good one, but my guess would be that these buildings do not contribute. When we look at the overall West Main Hill Historic District, the buildings that they used to define the character of that neighborhood were the Queen houses, the two houses, the houses that are in the neighborhood is what they're looking at to define the character of this area. You have to have a continuous historic district though, so I think that they wanted to capture some of the buildings that were on the edge, and you can't just cut some of them out, so that would have been the reason why why it extends down that far.
But to be clear, this is not a case of a 1961 piece of property right next to a 1861 piece of property.
Right,
They're all from, on both sides, they're from at least
A similar period.
1960, similar period, okay.